almost every item on Herc, and especially the items that come on and off. For example, we weigh everything from, you know, for example, the Niskin array that we put on for these dives has a certain amount of weight, and the core tubes, even though it might seem negligible, like a kilo or two, can make a huge difference. So there's an array of lead ballast that's secured on the vehicle. So that serves two purposes. We add or remove ballast depending on what kind of science gear we have on the vehicle. And then we also arrange the ballast so the pitch and roll of Herc is pretty neutral. So it helps the vehicle to fly through the water without, you know, being tilted too much down or too much up or left or right, because that affects how the thrusters move the vehicle. And then obviously we want to be as close to neutrally buoyant but somewhat positive as we can. If it's too heavy when we're on a soft seabed like we were on the last few dives, we have to thrust up, which just disturbs the seabed. And if it's too light, we're using a lot of our power to maintain the depth. And then we also have to take into account what we might be sampling. So if there's a lot of geologists on board, we know we're going to be filling up with rocks, which will make the vehicle heavy. And it can actually, if we're really close to neutrally buoyant during the dive and we pick up too many rocks, we can then become heavy, which makes it difficult to get good video without disturbing the seabed. Conversely, if we take equipment down, for example, if we're deploying scientific instruments and we're going to leave them on the seabed, we need to account for that, because then when we deploy them, we'll be too light. So we might go down knowing that we're going to be heavy until we deploy the instrument. So there's quite a bit of upfront work that goes into making the ballast correct for the dive.
Yeah, a lot of considerations. That's super interesting. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So it looks like we are around just clearing 600 meters. So our temperature has already doubled, warmer, and we're slowly but surely continuing to come up. Do I what? But after this watch, be sure to stay tuned. Check out, of course, our photos and videos on nautiluslive.org, and check out our Twitter and Nautilus Live for updates on when we'll start our next dive.
And I believe all the dives are actually archived at YouTube, so if you missed out on the 20 hours of diving in Box Canyon and you really want to catch up, you can do that and hear all the commentary with what we got to see. It's pretty cool.
For all the moms out there watching on repeat, our moms, I meant. Sounds like we have about 35 minutes until Herc and Argus are at the surface and we'll be recovering them. For all those math nerds out there, sounds like an intern at some point calculated this rate of ascent, and so we're able to track it pretty closely. So you have about 35 more minutes till you'll be able to see on our deck the recovery of both ROVs, which is always cool. So this watch is coming to a close, so this is Carrie and I'll be signing off. We have about 30 minutes until recovery of our ROVs, so we're just going to continue our ascent, and then we'll be in transit for the next few hours as we make our way to the Greater Farallones. So be sure to tune back in to nautiluslive.org or check out our Twitter to get updates on our next dive. But thank you to everyone who tuned in, and we're super excited about our future dives on for the rest of this week. Take care.
We've been seeing some interesting structures in the water that look like kind of parachute-shaped things, and those are larvation mucus houses that have collapsed and are sinking.
Very cool. Thank you, Danny.
They've collapsed because they've eaten so much plankton, or? So sinking to the deep sea will eventually feed some critters down below.
The larvation is pumping so much water through it that within 24 hours of using its mucus house, it becomes clogged, and then it'll cast it off and will create a new one. And those cast off houses are what then collapse, sink to the seafloor, carrying all that carbon with it. And BARI scientists are interested in looking at how it transports carbon to the seafloor.
Wow, carbon transport in action right in the screen.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
There we
Very
go.
cool.
There's some of those cast-off larvation houses.
Thanks for pointing that out.
It's kind of like a hot air balloon festival, but in reverse.
I love that.
Very cool. That's what's so fun about being out here, is just being curious.
And you know, sometimes on the screen there's just so much to look at, and it's kind of nice to have a little bit of downtime as we're ascending to think about what are we seeing and what do I know and don't know about this. And sometimes we're just so busy, it's go, 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 but to have some time to do a little research and think
some
about what we're
fun.
seeing.
All right, everyone. So we're switching over to our other watch. They're going to help with the final ascent and recovering our ROVs. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. Please continue to follow us on nautiluslive.org and on our Twitter. We are hoping to do another dive later today. So thank you.
Oh.
Um,
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Randy.
So here we are, 10 knots of wind, about a half knot of current, both streaming into,
Both coming from the bow.
yeah, roughly. Not really too much swell to speak of. We're approaching 300 meters. We could move forward at 0.2 knots just to help you out if there's any undercurrent.
We seem
current.
pretty well.
Yeah, as long as
laid
we don't
out.
see anything towards 100 meters.
Yeah, I think
we
we're
can always
good.
pause and then keep going. But I think we'll be fine holding. Miles was saying that just watching the jet pump and the camera 11 was like there's times when it's not even doing anything.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So as long as there's nothing from 100 to 50 at the thermocline, which I don't think we saw on the way down.
You know, I was too busy with other things to...
I was watching, I think we didn't spin.
No, we didn't really spin.
No. That equatorial undercurrent was crazy.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's like, here you go, 180. Okay. Bridge nav. Can we confirm that the tanks are secure and the air is enabled on the tuggers? Thank you.
George has a good voice for radio.
Great.
A great voice?
No, I was twisting around my head because that's like, you know, when people say you got a face for radio.
Oh, I didn't say you had a face for
I
I
know,
said you
but
had
I
a
was
voice.
like, did you just insult George in front of me?
I did not. I complimented
Yeah.
George.
That's why I had to look at you funny for a minute. Turns out I barely have intelligence for SPL.
You did just wake up, Rennie.
What?
Like less than 5 minutes ago.
Some say he still isn't awake yet. Hey, did we ever clear out the slurp, or is
Nope.
that a... Yeah. It's a
Apparently there's another sample in there too.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe 3, possibly 4.
layers of
No, I don't
samples.
think there's 4.
Okay.
I think we stopped at getting
Calm down,
3
Greg.
specimens in the slurp.
The old adage is true. No one listened to Greg.
Well, that's, you know, I did pass on to the other watches that the slurp was jammed and another sample went in.
Everyone's got to try it.
It's
So
true.
that's-
Everybody has to be like, oh, well, I can clear it.
It makes
you know.
sense that there's a limit of 3 because every watch had to try it.
One per watch.
One per watch. Well, I don't know how clogged it really could be.
Yeah, maybe this one will work.
Maybe
There's-
Greg
there's
just doesn't know
flow.
how
Well, maybe.
to clear
Well,
it.
the
Yeah.
back row was thinking, well, maybe
Yeah.
if we stick something else in there, it'll
Yeah.
shove everything down the tube.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's always...
It's math.
Sometimes it works, though, you know?
Not this time.
Not this time, no. I think there's 3 samples in there.
Are they all different samples? Because then
Yeah.
at least
Yep, different samples, different locations.
Different organisms.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. Different watch.
Good job, team.
Yeah.
20 minutes to surface.
Yeah, I
How
think
many?
Roger.
the team is nailing it down, though.
It's a little higher.
Yeah,
But
we
not
can
by
get him out of
much.
there.
So I would do like, it's probably closer to 3.5, and then the top one would be like 5. Yeah, when we're on deck, go down, take a look at the gauges, get an idea of where the different markers are. I think really everyone wanted to use the slurp because it's freshly painted. It's got a new green end.
I saw
Just
that.
showing it off.
Yeah.
So it was rusty.
Check out our new slurp.
And now we wait. Blue water is always tricky because it's easy to get bored in the blue water and stop watching for all the little things.
Yeah, like butt cams.
Yeah, or you end up in a conversation and like you look up and you're like, oh, our delta depth is like -30. You know, like that's
Yeah.
not what you want.
No. One time we did send down a rosette CTD with about 15 Niskin bottles on it, and we never felt anything, never any kind of jarring, but it came back up and one of the Niskin bottles was completely sheared off. Another Niskin bottle was just totally broken apart but still in place on the rosette, and another Niskin bottle was, or two, yeah, was completely cracked. So in the middle of the water column, something so hard just came along and sheared off one of the Niskin bottles. So you never know it's in the middle of the water column.
Huh.
That's like a scary story.
I know.
Yeah, when I was doing a bunch of rosettes, that's when I learned that cable does weird things underwater. Even with the, you know, like the Niskin's open, you'd think it would kind of channel the rosette to keep it vertical. But without enough weight on the bottom, they'll do a full loop-de-loop.
250 meters. Copy.
Yeah, so you can see the same tension and everything, and just like your rosette is like literally doing loop-de-loops underwater if you don't have enough weight on it or you're going too fast. And
Yeah, they were all closed, so it happened on the way back up.
so then that's not going to be a cable issue. That's just
Yeah.
interacting with something that you didn't even know was there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the deck team, they were perplexed by the whole
I
thing.
would imagine.
They were like, whoa, what did this? I was thinking that, oh, it's probably a container in the middle of the water column and it hit it.
That can happen. See, one of the biggest issues about containers that go overboard is for a while they float like just subsurface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a movie about that
Was there?
with Robert Redford. Was that?
What was it called?
I don't know.
He's in a small sailboat, like transatlantic or transpacific or something, and hits one of those. And it's like the whole movie is like just the process from when he hits it to, you know, the ship-
Surviving.
yeah, surviving.
Sure, the ending.
I really don't like watching films about ships going down or having problems.
Yeah, we watched the whatever the new Moby Dick movie was a couple years ago with Chris Hemsworth.
Is it good?
Well, we watched it out on the boat, and I was like, this is about a ship going down and the crew turning to cannibalism. I don't think that this is what we want to be watching right now.
No.
You know, it's like, and we're watching it on a bad weather day, because
Because we're not diving.
You're not diving, so you're watching a movie.
No, that's
Yeah.
a terrible idea.
Oh.
Was it a good movie though?
yeah, it was a pretty good movie.
It's like airlines, they never show like plane crashing type of movies on their flights.
I feel like it's probably bad karma to do that.
I think so.
Bad juju.
Bad juju.
Bad juju. On the speaking of bad juju, on the Farallon Islands, the Western Gulls is a huge Western gull breeding area, but they'll fly from the mainland back out to the Farallon Islands. It's about 25 miles, 26 miles offshore, and they'll go to the dumps, and then they'll bring back like little trinkets, and so you'll see like these little pieces of plastic usually, but you see a lot of chicken bones, some pork bones, and you know they're coming from the mainland because they're like sheared off, cut off, you know, nice slice. And on the island we call those jujus. And so you can't take anything off of the island. And so there's this box of juju. Really the most interesting things from the gulls, bringing them back.
What are some of the most interesting things?
Oh, just little dolls. You know, there's cigarette lighters. That's very sad for multiple reasons. But you know, golf balls. You're like, wow. So some of these things are really large. Like, what do they call them? The troll dolls with the hair that. Big hair.
Troll dolls.
Troll dolls, yeah. Yeah. Like, how do they, you know, there's
a committed bird.
That's a committed bird. You know, the little plastic eyes are still there. Necklaces. So it's bad juju if you take anything off. Take any juju off the island.
A little bit.
That's great.
Likely means that we change density in the salt water.
We have a viewer, Maria, watching who wants us to give a shout out to her daughter. So good morning, Resi. Thanks for watching.
What is her name?
Resi?
Hi, Resi. Sorry we don't have anything interesting to show you.
So yeah, so on recovery we
jellies
have,
and
we want to make sure, and this they set up on the bottom, on the seafloor, but 0 for the 6.8, 0 for the tether.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that should put us in line with everything.
And so we'll come up to the surface, butt to butt again.
Yeah, it's really a reverse of the launch, like step by step.
Makes sense.
Argus will come on deck
meters,
first.
we're still streamed out.
Yep.
Reciprocal heading. Man, it's been a while since did a launcher recovery in weather like this.
I know, it's so nice.
It's really nice out right now.
Shh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's bad juju. Don't jinx it.
And
better
no whistling.
sacrifice a troll head for that.
Yeah.
Troll doll head, excuse me.
A troll doll.
Got bleak for a second there.
That's what that poor chick has to be born to, is a troll head staring at it.
So what we're going to do is we're going to come to an all stop at 50 meters. And that way we can, we'll hand over to the deck there.
Cool. Hey, the 50 is off your winch readout, because that's what Mark is seeing out there.
Right, you're going to do it off of that readout there.
Man, you don't want to get that wrong. Or you're going to get a stern message from the deck that you have surpassed and you don't know what you're doing.
It's pretty much word
no
for word,
pressure at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's
Don't
really
choke.
confident.
Hey, Greg. Where's Herc in relationship to Argus right now? Is it?
Argus is facing the stern of the ship, and Herc is facing away. So we're at tether extent. I'm basically driving away from Argus. So Argus's heading is 315, and mine's 135.
Oh, okay. And so you have like light thrusters on just to keep it away from Argus as much as possible?
Yep.
No tangling.
No
Right.
tangling.
It's one of those, we know that we're safe if we're separate.
Yeah.
No touching.
So we'll see Argus come up first.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to need to slow down some too, just because I changed things and we're slowing down some.
Cool.
I got the ascent rate up to 20, but not for long.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Screaming up.
I know.
20 meters a minute. It's like a walking pace.
I know you said there's a time delay on the speed readout, but that's not true for the payout.
Correct. Payout is accurate.
Can you explain how the, I don't know what you call it, the teepee-looking metal thing at the end of the crane, how that attaches to Herc?
Oh, the sway limiter?
Yeah.
So that just kind of limits the, if we just picked, I guess the best, if you just pick something up and it's hanging from a rope, it can swing in all directions. So if we use the winch on the crane to suck Herc into the sway limiter, then it's limited from swinging side to side. It can still swing forward and backwards, but you can use the tether to help control that.
And does the sway limiter, does it, is it a magnet?
No, it's just there's a winch on the crane, then the line drops down through the sway limiter. So what we'll do is they'll pull the recovery line off of Argus, they'll tie it to the crane winch, and then winch us in from there.
Yeah, the recovery line is attached to Hercules, and it's daisy chain kind of connected to the tether. So we can undo the daisy chain and separate the lift line and the tether. And now you've got the lift line connected to the winch on the crane directly to Hercules. So the daisy chain is kind of a key component in this, this operation.
Right. If Argus is on board, you can grab Herc's lift line.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's just paired right now. Some other operations use like a Velcroed sleeve.
Yep.
Is our delta still okay? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're coming into slowing down. Usually around here I'll run the winch by hand, that way I know I can make sure that I stop at 50.
You stopped?
Not yet. We're at
61.
61. Can we get the recovery screens up?
Yeah. Oh, we don't have a...
Is there no salvo anymore?
No, there's no salvo.
No, they only...
Hang on.
You gotta do it manually. You gotta click 4 buttons now instead of 1.
Dan, I'm assuming, because he doesn't have a life jacket on either, he's going to get out of the area for actual recovery.
Who is that?
Dan.
Yeah.
Mark will yell at him.
Right.
54.
Roger. He's staring at us. We're staring at him.
52.
Yeah.
He'll call me before I call him, I think. As soon as you stop.
Yep.
You guys good? Control van's ready.
Okay. So in that case, we're gonna do.
So if you take a look either at HiPAC or on this screen, our US veil does not work very well at this slant range. So that's not actually where Hercules is.
Got it.
So from here on, we watch compasses and the butt cams, and kind of that's where we're driving off of.
Cool. Is there anything I want to turn off, like lights or?
Yeah, let's go ahead. We can turn off your lights. We can secure your thrusters. That's all on the port side.
Oh yeah.
We'll leave on butt light.
Cool.
Until we see them going to start to hook in on deck, then we can turn off butt light. Then sub-bottom profiler can go off. We're going to leave on the crossbow and the Paro because we're using those. And then the cameras and everything we can turn off when we get to the surface.
Okay.
And you want to leave tilt powered because sometimes in the wash it gets like yanked down and then you'd have to bring it back up.
Cool.
Straight into forces according to DP, and they're not very strong. So it should be all right.
I know this is really my chance to come up right between the...
Yeah, field goal. What was the question, video?
Oh, nothing. Yeah.
So we lost sight of them on the butt cams. Is that just like the water's
It's
too choppy?
Too
much air?
Too much stuff in the water, too much particulate. You can see it kind of sparkling off of the lasers. And there's also light.
Is it Miles on the crane?
Yeah.
Lindsay, Dan, Antonella in the back. Who's the Nicole
Jamie
and
and
Jamie?
Nicole.
Oh, cool.
So who's on winch? Justin?
Man, 20 people out there. But everyone's out for the calm recovery, just in case.
Yeah.
What does each person do during recovery?
So the two people staying next to Mark are going to hook into Argus, and then they'll walk the poles back. Lindsay and Antonella are on the tuggers, and so they will basically, their taglines on Argus. And they'll help with kind of keeping tension on Argus as we bring the A-frame in.
Cool.
There's Herc, dead on. Field goal, super field goal. Yeah.
It is Sunday.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and turn off butt light.
The thing about holding station is we can't selectively hold position to stop the thruster wash.
Yeah.
And they don't usually, when you say cut it, they don't, it's not a good idea. It takes a long time to shut off this.
So then you can
come
see
back up.
in Argus's camera. So go ahead and you can start powering things down on Argus.
Crossbow and paro.
Yeah. Yeah. You can actually, let's see, we're just about to get swung and kicked out some. You can turn off everything. So just work your way through stuff.
Tilt
USBL.
looks okay.
Yep, tilt looks okay. Keep going. And you want to tell them that you're turning off your HD.
Nikki lost the hook.
Tell
video that you're
video turning off HD.
And leave those two on.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need any ship help.
I think we're good.
Man, Lindsay disappeared real quick.
Yeah.
Well, you know, work's involved.
Yeah. He was all set up and ready to go. It's looking good.
So then I'm driving away to kind of give 3 points of contact.
Got it.
If it's really bad weather and like I'm surging a bunch, then I'll actually leave it slack because it's easier to control it when I'm not like yanking on it and then
having that.
Right. So now the vehicle is on deck, but it's live, right? So the vehicle has high voltage running through it. They're waiting on the A-frame to come in all the way. And that usually slides Argus in the rest of the way.
So is
I'm
Mark
gonna stop pulling on it for a moment because we're in a good spot. Like we're lined up, we're happy, and I don't want to jerk it in any way as somebody goes through that pinch point over there.
Yeah. So are there parts of the Argus that you don't want to touch while it's still alive like this?
You don't want to touch any part of it.
Yeah, they put the ground strap on already. And
yeah, somebody grabs a glove and they'll put on the ground strap. But yeah, you really don't want to touch any part of it. God, it's so calm. I like it.
Is it worse if there's like a ground fault, then people will take extra precautions?
Usually the same precaution.
If there is if there's like a little ground fault here, then you're talking about 120, so it's not a big deal, and the conductivity at this point is not going to be a big issue. Your bigger issue is going to be the high voltage.
So Jen, you can see Antonella's undoing the daisy chain right now.
However, the high voltage has a ground fault sensor,
She's
which we
reeling
tested
it
on our last high voltage, and so it'll just shut down.
Got it.
And so then as they're pulling off the daisy chain, we watch number 3.
Yeah.
To make sure that the daisy chain comes free there and that the lift line comes free and we don't have a wrap in the tether. We shouldn't because we came up with 0 wraps, but sometimes somebody zeroes it at depth because I don't know why. Wait, there's all kinds of stuff in the water. Look at that.
Yeah. Pretty.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of salp chains.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
And salps, yeah.
And as the daisy chain gets close, I go hands off on the thrusters, so.
Because you don't want to pull
right.
Antonella.
Well, it's not about pulling Antonella. I don't want to suck in any
line.
of the loose line.
So you can see camera 3, it's just starting to get there, I think.
Slow
maybe
it down. Yeah,
there it is, yeah.
So I'll make sure I don't have any autos on, and I'll just kind of float. So that way when the line goes, there's no chance of it. It shouldn't get sucked into a thruster because I'm driving away anyway, so it's pushing, but.
There it is. Now for the tug. Yank. Pull. There you go. She got it.
And let's do take port, take Zeus. So.
Copy. Yeah, it's hard to say if it's just wrapped around once or.
It's kind of easier at night because I'll mess with the lights and it's a lot easier to tell which way the vehicle's facing. Like I was just looking at it and I couldn't quite get a read on it, but we're still at the same heading here, so. Sometimes recovery is mainly gauge flying. And then now I pretty much, again, hands off. I'm just gonna let the crane winch me in. The current's keeping me away from the ship. It's not pushing me towards the ship.
What about those black straps on 3? Like
those are just a little bit of electrical tape.
Oh, right.
Usually they just stay stuck.
Got it.
Copy.
Yeah, but there's no slack.
How heavy is Herc and air again?
Copy. Ready when you are. High voltage secure. Have fun, Greg. Vehicles on deck.